Hey you guys, it's Britt. Today I'm here to read some of your comments that were left on my Brittany Dawn video. I mentioned this being a possible video yesterday and you guys seem to like that idea. So if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so I don't know if I'm going to get through every single comment, but I'm going to do my best without making this video super duper long. But I want to place a trigger warning in the beginning of this video because I have read most of these comments as they were coming in, and some of you guys are sharing similar stories to your own personal experience when it comes to the loss of a pet. And that can be really heavy for a lot of people. It's heavy for me as well, but I also want to amplify your all's voices. You know that I like to read comments periodically and keep the conversation going, and this is one of the ways that we can do that. So if you are not in a place to hear other stories, even if they're remotely similar to what happened with Brodie, please click off this video. I will catch you on the next one. But before we get into this video, I also want to put a disclaimer in the beginning of this. I realize that freak accidents happen. There are certain things that happen in life, especially with pet ownership, where something will happen and it will turn into a lesson for the future. And with this situation, my takeaway argument and my takeaway point the entire time has been and always will be the fact that Brittany Dawn and her husband are not qualified veterinarians. They are not medical professionals, and they are not qualified to make a decision on whether or not a dog is too hurt to get help. And that's the biggest thing. You know, I shared the story about my boyfriend and his dog Rocky, and you know, typically I try to keep really personal things off the internet because people just, I don't know, the internet is just a mess, especially as of lately. And the reason that I shared that story in a different video is because the key takeaway is that you take the dog to get help. Even if a set of unfortunate circumstances led to that point, you always give your dog a second chance. You always take it to get medical help, and you let the ones that are experienced and qualified make the decision for you. You don't stand in the road and make a decision for the dog. Brodie counted on his owners to have his best interest at heart, and that's not what happened, and it makes me sick. Okay, and I'm not going to be sharing the person's name in the comment because I didn't get permission to, but if you're interested, these are all public comments. If you guys want to have a conversation about any of these, please feel free to go back to that video and you can chime in. This comment says, "You asked why they didn't rush the poor dog to the vet because it's all about her." Yes, I grew up in an area where animals were due to lack of vet resources, but guess what? My horse fell on top of me while I was practicing barrels. Normally horses were burned with tires. Guess what? I love that horse so much. My dad buried the horse for me. So rural methods are BS. Back to Brittany. WTF, leave a dog outside because it normally doesn't go in the road? Britt, you have Axel, a big dog. I have a Great Dane and an Alaskan Husky. Even with a 5-foot fence, would me and my husband ever get in the front yard knowing they both can, but never have tried to jump a fence, dog, or squirrel on the street? We put them in the backyard. How damn careless can a person be to not think? I cannot put myself into the mindset of how this woman could know Brodie was alive and go back inside while her husband him. I think the parts of her YouTube that stuck out the most is when she said, "Thank God no cars were coming down the road while I was out there. Luckily, my neighbors came up and blocked the road." Oh my God, no, Brittany. There were cars on the road. The one that ran over your dog and apparently kept driving. I'm guessing she got hit by a car. Jordan's fix would be to whip out his gun and put her down. Britt, you said leave comments, hope rants count. Everyone has their own take on things, just my opinion. Absolutely. That was my main thing from the get-go. You just always, there are reasons that we have veterinarians. There are reasons that people go to school for years to become veterinarians. We aren't, they are, so you take your dog to get help. Point blank, period. You know, putting faith in a dog is always a bad idea. And unfortunately, with the story that I told you guys with Rocky, that was a heartbreaking thing to go through. And there was trust put in Rocky that he was going to hang out like he did typically. And he saw his friend across the street and wanted to go say hello. So that's what I'm saying. Even dogs that are very good with recall technique and they always listen and they don't wander off, they don't chase things, there's always that 1 out of 100 thing that happens. You can't put all your faith in a dog to listen and to do the right thing. It's always better to play it safe, and that's another reason why we are so overprotective when it comes to Axel. You know, he's not off a lead, and if he does run around, it's because we are in a fully fenced in area, and before I even let him off the lead, you know, if we're at like a friend's backyard or somewhere where there's a fenced in area, I will still walk the perimeter to make sure that there are no holes in the fence or spaces where he could sneak out if he heard something that got his attention. Who knows? You just never know with dogs. It's just really unfortunate. The next comment says, animals are so innocent and just want to give love and be loved. I could never relate to a person who could harm them instead of help. Such a precious animal that is so innocent. You always bring the facts to these scams and such, and I'm truly grateful for that, and this is absolutely heartbreaking. Thank you, Britt. I know this was a hard video for you. It's just heartbreaking. It really is. Why would Brittany feel the need to share this tragic situation with her dog passing? Money. If they didn't have a fence, the dog should have been in the house while they went shopping. So sad. It amazes me what some of these influencers will film. I agree. I grew up in a rural area in the 90s where ranchers usually animals to euthanize them. So sadly, this is not shocking to me. This is not as shocking to me as it is to others. I have also seen very traumatizing things in animal rescue, so without being too graphic, I actually understand how you can know when it's simply too late without being a veterinarian. That said, I'm still heartbroken that they left their dog unsupervised near a road and the poor dog had to pay the price for it. And they didn't even try to save him or have him euthanized more humanely. Next comment says, while there's a lot here, knowing he's an officer who abused his power by using excessive force disgusts me. What an awful human being. How could he not take the dog to an emergency vet clinic immediately? First, they leave the dog roaming around outside, then shoot it instead of getting medical attention. They shouldn't be allowed to have pets. I have to say, there's probably a connection between what he did to the dog and his former job. There are a lot of news stories of an officer on call and the person's dog was shot even though it wasn't attacking. That's another like worst fear of mine, is hearing about how dogs are shot when they weren't doing anything wrong. It's just, there's so many just messed up scenarios that keep me up at night when it comes to you know, animals and people. And you guys know how it is. The world that we're living in right now is extremely toxic and so sad. And when you think about some of those situations, knocking on your own front door, if you're like me, it can definitely keep you up at night. Since what happened with the Philippines, it's like influencers just can't take care of their dogs. God forgive me because I really don't know, but it's like they do it on purpose. Thank you for being so passionate about these poor animals. I would leave any man that raised a hand to my pets, raise a gun, he better run. Exactly. And it seems like she just went inside and, you know, so bad. Her husband is a lunatic. Even if that had to be done, how could the actual owner of the dog bear to do it? Wouldn't a normal person have to take it to a professional just to do it as peacefully as possible? Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. No matter the circumstances, you get the animal in your vehicle and you take it to the vet, and the vet can either tell you it's too late, possibly the dog passed in the car like what happened with my boyfriend, or you get there and they say it looks bad, but let's do surgery or whatever. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just throwing different situations out as they would be possible. Or the third, they say that nothing can be done and the dog needs to be euthanized, but they can do it in a pain-free way, so the dog isn't being shot. What the f is wrong with these people? I cannot understand for the life of me why they shot the dog instead of taking it to a vet where it could have been euthanized painlessly, or even saving the dog. They should have never been allowed to keep another animal ever. In the beginning, I was sad, like a poor dog. It was a mistake on their part, and oh, the dog was dead when they found him, but that's why they didn't do anything. The dog was breathing. They shot the dog. Yikes, horrible people. The story is so sad. I would do anything possible to save my animals. She was a vet tech. Put the dog in the car and use your skills to tend to its wounds the best that you can while you're buying more time for the dog to possibly be saved, since she apparently has skills most of us don't. And yeah, I don't know anyone who just leaves their dogs outside like that. It's awful. Those pictures at the end really got me. Also, under self-defense laws, are Nikki and Dan also guilty? Or different laws where they are? Maybe. Yeah, Nikki and Dan were residing in Tennessee at that point. They were not in Texas. What a sweet dog. He deserves so much more. This story makes me so sad and angry. I just adopted a pup and I don't even leave her outside just to go into a store. I carry her in. Yeah, dogs being like completely unsupervised outside is, you know, it's bad enough to have them off a leash and trust that they're gonna stay close to you, but to not even be there is, in my opinion, completely reckless, and it should never happen. I have a big fenced-in backyard, a 6-foot tall privacy fence, and I won't even leave my dogs out there when I'm not home. If I'm not home, the dogs are inside the house always. Where I live, it's super common for people to let their dogs roam. It's sad what ends up happening to some of these dogs. Some people don't deserve the privilege of having a pet. And that's exactly what I say all the time. It is, to me, in my opinion, it's a privilege to be a dog owner. It's a privilege to have animals that you take care of, that you tend to every day, and you keep them company and they keep you company, and it's unconditional love every single day. And to me, that's a privilege that not everybody deserves. It's actually very dangerous to leave a dog unattended on a lead as well. If they were attacked while on the lead, they would be unable to escape or save themselves. Dogs should never be unsupervised whatsoever. Yeah, I agree. If you're not there, then the dog should be inside. Now, if you're home and you have a fenced-in yard, then obviously that's a little bit different. But if you're not at home and if you're not on the property, then I just don't see any reason to leave your dogs outside, period. I don't care what state my dog is in. I'm immediately racing him to the emergency vet, especially when I'm in shock or panic. I would not trust my ability to analyze or assess his injuries and conclude he can't be saved. This is bullshit. And I agree, you know, in all things considered, I don't care if she worked for as a vet tech for 5 years or 10 years. You're still not a medical professional. And like she said in her own video, she said, you know, it doesn't matter how long you work for a vet, nothing prepares you for seeing it happen to your own animal. So that tells me that there was an, you know, triple layer of shock. So you're definitely not in a position where you should be making a decision on whether or not your dog could be saved. That animal should have been immediately put into a vehicle and taken to the vet. And that is the hill that I will stand on until the end of time. This is so disgusting and heartless. If they brought him to the vets and they found out they couldn't save him, at least Brodie could have been put to sleep with a humane procedure. Exactly. And she could have cradled him while he passed. Who on earth just lets their dog loose, especially when they're not home? I would never even let my dogs stay in our fenced yard when I'm not home. So many things could happen. They could escape, get stolen, etc., etc. They're so neglectful. Why leave them out if she wasn't home, period, especially without a fence? Yeah. That's a handful of the comments from that video. There's just so many things that should have been done differently. And like I said, I would just never, I would not be able to leave my house and know that my dog was either in the backyard unsupervised or let alone just out roaming around. Like how as a dog owner, do you pull out of your driveway and go to Lowe's and go shop knowing that your dog is not being supervised? I do not understand that. Now, you know, I have to say, if the set of circumstances was a little bit different, say the dog got out, like it escaped through a hole in the fence or somehow jumped the fence, or they were playing in the yard and he somehow got out, like things would be different leading up to this point. Dogs should have still immediately gone to an emergency vet, point blank, period. Like I said, I'm always going to stand by that. But I just don't understand how, as a dog owner, you can not have your dog in a safe place and pull out of your driveway and go shopping. Where is, like, what are you thinking? What the hell is going on here? So to close out this video, I want to say I am a little bit surprised by the lack of coverage I'm seeing about this Brittany Dawn situation, especially when you go back and think of the day and following days with Nikki and Dan Philippi. I'm actually kind of shocked that more people aren't covering this. It is reprehensible, and I will continue to talk about Brittany Dawn. I'm not going to do a daily video about her, but I will keep this conversation going, just like I vowed to keep the conversation about Nikki and Dan going. The internet has a very short-term memory, and if there's only a few people talking about something, then chances are sneaky little snakes like this, who have no soul, in my personal opinion, are going to try to come back, and if it means me using my platform to call out her bullshit, then that's what I'm here for. So either way, I know this is a heavy video, but it's important to keep the conversation going. So for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.